Yes, yeah. Welcome back to the Klyph Notes podcast. This is the final episode of the year, the final episode of 2021. And man, what a year it's been. Before we really get into it, man, I just want to once again say thank you to everybody who's been listening and reaching out and sharing the podcast with their communities. Know that I have seen that and I definitely appreciate it. It's been a real blessing to be able to share these stories of these creators, these artists, these individuals, and utilizing the platform. I'm just a conduit, man, to help get the word out and hopefully make an impact on folk. This is episode 134, and it's crazy that it's been that many episodes. That started off just with the idea of having some conversations that I thought would be dope to share with the listeners, man. And here we are. This episode is cool. I had an opportunity to connect with this cat. And it's really interesting because it showed me that there's so much, even though I'm involved in the scene, there's so much that goes on that I just really wasn't aware of. And I'm excited to share this story with y'all, man. Hopefully you'll get an opportunity to hear some stuff and learn some things that maybe you didn't even realize was happening in the area. He's a writer, producer, actor, film company, entrepreneur. Like, he does a whole lot of stuff, man. And it's all happening right here in the Portland, Oregon metro area, which is really dope. I had a chance to sit down and chop it up with Ramone Palmore, and we talked about some of the projects that are out that you can tap into, that he's been involved with. Some of the projects, one that I'm really excited about, that they're working on right now, they're making available to us. So I think you're really gonna dig this interview, man, with local producer, actor, Ramone Palmore. Also, before we get into this interview, man, I want to encourage everybody to tap into djklyph.com. It's the link for all the things that I do with DJ Klyph Productions. The Welcome to the Neighborhood radio show on XRAY FM. The daily show on the rhythm on the Numberz.fm every weekday at 3 p.m. And the other podcasts that are available, WTTN Guests Revisited. Everything is Copacetic, which will soon be available on YouTube. You'll be able to tap into that one there. All kinds of great content, man. So once again, man, I just want to say thank you so much for rocking with me for as long as you have. And looking forward to making 2022 an even better situation. God bless you all. Thank you. I love you so much. And let's get into this. Episode 134 of the Klyph Notes podcast. Ramone Palmore. Support for the Klyph Notes podcast comes from Akepele Apparel, an idea born from a love of hip-hop, funk, and soul music and its surrounding cultures. With fashion being a huge visual part of the cultures, they've created expressive images to pay homage, invoke nostalgia, and showcase the elements that make up the lifestyle and cultures of these genres. Akepele, apparel for the music lifestyle. For more information, check out akepele.com. That's AKEPELE.com. Yes, y'all. Welcome back to another episode of the Klyph Notes podcast. Available everywhere you listen to your podcasts. Man, it's dope to be back here, back in the space, man. Shout out to the Numberz FM, the Numberz with a Z. If you haven't tapped in yet, be sure to do that. It's the Numberz 96.7 FM in Portland, Oregon, or the Numberz.fm, the Numberz with a Z.fm, our new supporter for the Klyph Notes podcast. Yo, this is cool. I'm excited for this one, man. You know what I'm saying? Special guest live in the neighborhood. A cat who I just been able to connect with really over social media, which was really, really dope. Getting to know the stuff that you're working with. I'm just really excited to learn more about you and the things that you're building. But I'll let them know who you are.
Yeah, I'm Ramone Palmore, actor and producer Ramone Palmore. Here from Portland, Oregon, and I'm an independent artist. I'm looking to grow with other artists, specifically in the film industry.
Word.
I started off acting at the Portland Actors Conservatory with teacher Beth Harper. I stepped into her classroom probably early 2015, and then it just spiraled from there. Then I went over to the Artist Repertory Theater with Chris Harder, who teaches Meisner. I studied Meisner for about 3 years, so 15 all the way to 2018. I stepped into a Meisner class, which Meisner is a form of, for me, it taught me how to be a listener more as an actor, and that's a big part of this thing in the acting world is learning how to truly listen.
Yeah.
You know what I mean, and staying connected to, just being connected to your partner inside of a scene. And I think that's one of the most important things that a lot of actors in the industry talk about is being a great listener.
Word. I'm glad you broke that down, Bree, because I was about to ask, what is that? Because
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. So Meisner is like this. It's this game of like repetition, that you repeat what your partner is giving you to test to see how much you really truly are listening to them.
Gotcha.
And it's a heart-to-heart conversation of like behavior that's in between two individuals, because it's not just more about what you say, it's about what you do and what you feel. That means a lot. And really in film, behavior is really like a major part of that too, because you can be silent and say a whole lot of things.
Word.
So Meisner really helped me. It helped me get out of my shell. I was, when I came in from the Actors Conservatory going into the Repertory Theater, it just was two different things. Both of them helped me, but Meisner really helped me understand what it is to be in my body and understand about, more about acting,
Right.
And so that opened up the door for me. Chris Harder, shouts out to him, man. He's still working over there. And if you're interested in acting, I would definitely look into getting into Meisner.
That's what's up, B.
Yeah.
So it's cool because once I started, once we were working on setting this thing up, and I was kind of looking at some of the things that you've done, and a lot of the stuff that you shared with me that you've done, kind of blew me away. Just because like I didn't know that there was that much going on here in Port. I mean, I think traditionally we hear about, some big studio was in the city filming, but to know that you as an independent actor, producer are doing films is really exciting to me, especially, a black man, you know what I'm saying, a person of color doing stuff like this, which I think is really cool. So, how did that happen? How did that happen for you, transitioning from taking acting classes to building what I see you building right now?
For me, I look at it like this. You can either stand in the line or you can create the line.
Okay.
And more symbolically, I got asked to do a commercial for KGW, which is a local news broadcasting
Channel 8
here.
They used to have Trailblazer games. They don't anymore, but I'm not mad at that. Go ahead.
Yeah, so big shout outs to broadcaster over there, Nancy Burton, who she eventually ended up moving, but we ran into each other, downtown, and she was just like, "Hey, I would like to bring you into the studio." And then they had a commercial ad that was coming up, and so I got attached to that. But I've always been, sort of like a freelance writer. Okay. I was in Miami for a portion of time, and I was out there for 4 months visiting my brother, and I used to write things in a notepad about film ideas. Mm-hmm. But in my mind at that time, I was like, well, wow, how is this going to actually come to reality, mm-hmm. And then, Saving District happened. With a lot of the school shootings going on in America, I started to say, well, I wrote this script called Saving District, and then I passed it to a few different people, and it was edited, and then, we revisited it, and then I met a young lady by the name of River Kunze, mm-hmm. A film director, and I just, I just got past the barrel of just saying, you know what, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna take my shot at doing an independent film. And
that's crazy, bro.
Yeah, and so we ended up doing a casting call. in my apartment building, we set up a casting call. So we had actors actually show up to where I lived, and I took over like this small space in my downtown in my downstairs in my lobby,
Yeah.
and we set up interviews, and like people came in to cast for the film, and then we cast it, and Saving District ended up being what it is. That ended up going off and going into the film festival. But like the main thing for Saving District was just I wanted it to be a voice off of how we can address the school shooting issue, which if you've been watching the news lately, there was another incident that just took place. But it was just, for me, I think being an independent artist, I think you just have to just be fearless. I mean, you have everything in front of you today with media that you can, I don't think artists should wait on anybody to express themselves if they're a true artist.
Right.
And so I just jumped over that barrel and was like, I'm going to take a shot at it. And it ended up grabbing a little bit of success, and then, filmmaking just went from there for me.
That's what's up, B. Well, I just want to say how much I think I love that message. I mean, oftentimes I think we talk about the obstacles. We talk about the way that it's so difficult to overcome. It's difficult to find that space. It's difficult to, to find avenues to do the things that we love, the things that we feel called to do.
Right.
But your message is a message that I love, which is just do it.
Yeah, just do it.
Go do it.
Yeah, and they give you you have everything in front of you with social media, and there's cameras everywhere. So if you truly are an artist, you really won't wait, and I've set up collaborations for myself with some of these major, companies in LA.
Mm-hmm.
But as an independent artist, I still like that space to be able to work as an independent artist, because I think that there's longevity into that. Also, if, I'm building a company right now with some awesome people, and none of this stuff would be possible without the people that surround around me,
Exactly.
A lot of great people that are helping me, come in as an independent act,
Yeah.
And so I really enjoy it. I just enjoy storytelling. Sometimes I have to slow myself down from writing, because I write a lot of my emails with new ideas.
Yeah.
But I have to sort of finish some of the stuff that's in front of me.
Right.
You know what I mean? So, but yeah, so that's sort of like how I got started. I mean,
that's what's up, B. The other thing that I wanna point out is a couple of the projects that I know that you've done, Saving District being one, are projects that are telling stories about maybe stories that don't get the positive recognition.
mm-hmm.
Maybe positive is not the right word, but you're telling stories that need to be told. Addressing school, the challenges that young people have to deal with in school, going to school and having to deal with violence in a way that young developing minds shouldn't necessarily have to deal with. You're telling stories about those who are underserved in the community. You're telling stories of gentrification and the impact that has on communities. And I think that that's so cool that you choose to use your platform in such a way. So I think it's important that we recognize and uplift people who are doing these positive things. And so, big ups to you, man, for doing stuff like that.
Oh man, thank you. Absolutely. I don't like to just say I'm a political artist, but a lot of the stories that I tell are definitely ways that we can jump over obstacles for some of the answers that we have.
Yeah.
A lot of my work connects back to the roles that I would like to play going into a spiritual thing. So like for me, every role that I take on, it's almost connected to like a spiritual battle. Am I somebody that needs help?
Mm-hmm.
Or am I somebody that's giving out help?
Mm.
And so my characters, they're either one of the two. I need help or I'm helping someone.
Yeah.
In Saving District, I happen to be the person that's helping someone. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so I don't try to force people into religion, but for me, it's a personal thing with like that spiritual battle with my roles that I take on. So I always go back from that. Like, so if I pick up a role, I'm trying to say, okay, well, where is this individual? Where is he at spiritually, and how does he find his way through this space?
Yeah.
And then I can set an example. If I'm somebody that needs help, I'm setting an example off of screaming out for help. So that's how I've always picked it up as an actor.
Yeah. Yeah. So, no, I love that, man. I love that, and I think that we don't, and I guess we all have a walk, a different walk, right? My walk is also a spiritual walk. I am a man of faith, and that idea that there is truly a battle that we deal with every single day between light and dark, between good and evil,
right?
And that can present itself in different forms, and at the end of the day, you do have to choose sides. You have to pick a side, which sounds very cliche-ish. But I think the other piece that goes along with that is that you have to identify what is in your circle of influence, what is impacting how you move, what is impacting the directions and the choices that you make. And so when you talk about creating art that has those elements to that, I think that that's cool because I think it does help us to identify just that. Mm-hmm. How can I work on being a better me? How can I work on putting myself in a position to help others to look at things that are outside of just self? So once again, man, just big ups to you for making those choices.
Thank you. Yeah, that's sort of where I stand with it. Just I grew up, in church with my family, so a lot of me going back, even if I'm navigating through this space in this world, I still find my way back into that, and then I still feel like it serves the whole purpose off of, my existence off of what I was taught. So my art, as long as I'm connecting those two things, I feel like, hey, my grandmother can't be mad at me about it. You know what I mean? Yes. So that works. We have another project that we're working on called the Broadway Boys, and I consider it almost like a luxury film. It's a 50s mafia style gangster related type of project. A lot of people are interested in us, bringing this project out, and that's looking to be released probably next summer. Because there's a lot that goes into putting it all together. But even with the guy Sammy Carter, who I'm playing, I think that it goes back into that spiritual battle realm, an example of somebody that needs help to find his way back, because he's not the one that can give out the help, but he thinks he could, but he needs somebody to really guide him back into the direction, because he's a street hustler, a bootlegger, and bank robber, and he has all this stuff going on. So I think as an artist, if you can set an example of somebody that needs help, you can understand what it is to be an actor, because all the roles that are given to you won't be the good roles. You won't be the guy that's the savior, and so you have to sort of be comfortable with playing somebody that's outside of yourself. And so for me, I think that's where I take it from mentally. That's sort of like my thing.
That's what's up. That one is interesting to me because, man, I look at a couple different genres of film. I look at westerns, and I look at sort of that genre of gangster films, right? And I think that when we look at film in general, those are two genres I feel like we don't really get to see us. We don't really get to see black people. It's almost like we didn't even exist. Like when the stories are told.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? And not to celebrate the negativity, but it is an experience that we've had as black people. And so I'm interested and excited to see what you folk are doing with this film.
Yeah.
What was it that sparked the idea of doing a period piece for you?
For me, it goes back to my love for, like a lot of artists. I mean, The Godfather, Casino, The Goodfellas. A lot of those films inspired the Broadway Boys, and then being our own voice, like how you just mentioned. Where were we at this time, like in that time frame? In the 50s, the civil rights movement, and a lot of things were going on. So when we wrote the project, we had to sort of keep that in mind, to honor that time period. But we also added this action drama, gangster type of thing to the script to like be a voice for that. I've always sort of had a thing to like look into the Italian families and how organized they were, and how they represent family. And it was a love for me. I mean, outside of the negativity that came around that, I just liked the way that family was built, and it's sort of similar to like our black families, in America. We sort of have that same conversation, that same type of love at dinner, and so like a lot of that, the film The Broadway Boys was pushed off of that idea. Godfather, Casino, like a lot of those great films that came out. So.
That's what's up, man. I like I said, I love being able to see the creation of these stories, because I think, as you mentioned, we have so many avenues now, whether it be via social media or all of the different streaming services, for us to tell our story and to tell different parts of our story. And so I'm just excited to see what you guys are doing with that. Was it of the project that you've worked on doing a period piece? Did it create different challenges from the other projects you've done?
Absolutely. I mean, Saving District, great guy here that owns a diner at the Nighthawk. I'm pretty sure a lot of local people know about that. He let us use that space. Big shout out to him. So a lot of the film was shot there, and then we used a school location, and then there was a house that we used. So Saving District was a little bit easier to film out of. Big shout out to River Coonsey, the director, because she found a lot of those locations in hand, and we ended up being able to do it. But for the Broadway Boys, I mean, we have the Union Station. We worked with our beautiful St. John's Bridge here. We worked over there for about a little bit over 8 hours using that location. I mean, the Broadway Bridge. So a lot of the locations that we choose, you would think, because it's a 50s piece, we have to be very careful about like where we shoot at, because of the surrounding areas, and there's a lot that goes into that. So we're going to be doing some stuff in Seattle, and we have a lot of different other locations that we're looking to, vintage like type of locations that we're looking to shoot out of. So it's a little tough, like, to find out the right space. Absolutely, because anything in film, everything plays a part, even in the background. Just the slightest thing, people can notice it, So you definitely want to be accurate with like how we shoot. You know? And Ben Steeper, film director for the Broadway Boys, super awesome guy. He's like my brother. He's a super awesome dude. He's the director for this project, and he's doing an awesome job. We've had 14-hour nights. Just on the Broadway Bridge, 14-hour nights. Some people ready to go home, but we want to stick it out and get it done. So we've been tackling it, and it's interesting for me. I'm really enjoying it. It's an action piece, drama, and I try to find the political side in it. When we were talking about writing, I just said, like, let's write something political into this, even though I know that this is like a gangster drama film, just to keep that thing on me. You know? So
that's what's up, B. Talk to me a little bit about Landless.
The Landless. So The Landless was also another film that I developed, I wrote, and it got passed down to a few different other editors to make, because I'm not really like a screenwriter. I don't consider myself a screenwriter. I'm a visionary, really. So like I put it into the hands of people that can format those things. So The Landless, just if you look around in Portland, there's a heavy dose of like homelessness or people that need help out here on the streets. And that's something that I've had a lot of concern from just growing up as a youth, to try to answer some of those questions that people have about like homelessness in our community. I used to live over here on Park Ave, and just stepping into my building, I would run into homeless people just sleeping outside. I even had a guy in the building when I was taking out the garbage in my building, sleeping in there. So I feel like it's a big issue here in the Northwest. I think that it's probably an issue in LA, and there are a lot of other places. So I just put it into my art form. I told myself I didn't want to be in this project because I want to be behind the camera. So it's about this young lady named Liz Sanders who's homeless on the streets with her son Leo. And it has gentrification takes a part into that too, and that's a big thing here in the Northwest and in other cities in America. But we definitely wanted to show the struggle that it was for her and her son to try to make it back to some type of form of reality and comfortability in the film. And we finished up what we call like the first episode, because it's supposed to be like a series that we're open to doing like some collaborations with like Amazon Prime or just like streaming services and stuff with it. But really well done. Sal, our director, he directed that really well done. The cinematography came out to be super awesome, and I can't wait to share it. We just released a trailer last week, and I think that it's going to be a good one. It sort of made me say, man, I should have been in this one, but I'm glad to sit behind the camera and try to look at it from the actor's point of view. And I worked with the actors on this and talked to them and do the whole entire process. And we rented out some locations. We had an Airbnb that we worked out of, and then a lot of it was just on the streets of Portland. Like we were underneath the Hawthorne Bridge.
Yeah.
We went underneath a few bridges in like different locations. We did a lot of B-roll shots around the city of like the homeless condition. And this is like post-COVID, right? Like when the cities were boarded up and everything. We got a lot of footage off of that.
Yeah.
And that's just my part of my voice with what what we're experiencing with our homeless crisis here in Portland. Michelle Wembley is a director that has a project coming out called Windows. Maybe I shouldn't be talking about that. But both projects are almost, I'm not going to say similar, but that's his voice into like the homeless crisis. And I guess and that's a buddy of mine's. We were already like in production to release this film, and hopefully people enjoy it. I mean, I think it's action packed. I think it's a lot of drama. I think hopefully it answers a lot of questions off of like some of the things that we can do. You got people that come out from Lake Oswego, Happy Valley, or these areas, and they don't know what it is. Maybe they can't relate to like the homelessness,
right?
And so I hope that this is something that can open up the doors for people that haven't been in that position or don't understand what it is.
Yeah. Yeah. And one of the things that I like about it is we have conversations where people who are homeless, houseless, landless, who are spoken to and spoken of in a very negative fashion. And I think the idea that these are human beings is separated from a lot of people's consciousness. And so I love the fact that just looking at the trailer, it seems that the story that you're telling will give these people humanity again for those who don't see them as human, for those who see them as less than. So excited to see the impact that it has on those who have an opportunity to see it, man. Yeah.
I hope it does. I hope people watch this project, this film, and they can say, well, hey, listen, maybe there are things that we can do to go out and help, or maybe, you know what I mean? Just understanding that they're still human beings, Sometimes we are good at, turning the other way off of issues, but I think we're all a community here, so it affects all of us, in a way, even if you don't think it does. So that was my voice for that, and then hopefully like we'll continue to build off of the Landless, because I think that it will definitely have some traction. I think that it's already picking up, what people want to see it.
Yeah, that's what's up.
Yeah.
You talk about, going back to Broadway Boys a little bit, you talk about being able to utilize some beautiful places around the city, and then even outside of the city of Portland, to film. One of the questions I've been asking creatives, especially with the impact, specifically with the impact of the last 2 years, is for musicians specifically, people who use stages and venues to share their art form, a lot of that was taken away. I mean, they weren't able to share their art that way. What impact, if any, did this whole COVID situation have on your craft?
Well, so I'm also attached to a feature film, a big project that is a little bit more political. This young brother, powerful brother by the name of Aaron Campbell here in Portland, Oregon, was gunned down by a police officer the same day that his brother had passed away. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful young lady by the name of Marva Davis gave me the rights to be able to develop this film project. So in that process, we picked up with, I have a big buddy out in LA who's a big time producer that is attached to the project, and we had a lot of investors that were going to come in and get us like the full budget for us to develop the project. Then COVID happens, and then boom. So like it postpones a lot, and then you have investors that sort of back off because they don't know where we're at with everything, and they don't know what can happen, in this time frame. So we had to postpone that project, which is still in the works. The label of it is 2 Sons in a Day, and it humanizes Aaron Campbell, his mother, and his brother in a story here in Portland that we know that it needs to be told, because it was very, very powerful story. So but to answer your question with that, COVID has delayed things like that in that sense. We sort of maneuvered through that with the Broadway Boys and stuff because it's sort of like post COVID. But now getting out of it, things are starting to pick back up, and we're starting to head back in the right direction. You know, but we were still able to work on little small projects, you know. But something like Two Sons in a Day, the Aaron Campbell story, it's a way bigger project with depth, and there's a lot of people that are attached to that. So that was the issue there, you know, which I was like, you know, we were ready to go, you know, but we're back, the wheels are back rolling on that. So
that's what's up. Another thing that we've all been impacted, especially, I mean, worldwide, but in a little bit of a different fashion here in Portland, and especially at my time living in Portland, was we in Portland have had an opportunity to express displeasure with the system, and Portland kind of became known as a place that people could go and do that for a while, and I think some positive things came out of that. People being able to utilize these systems to express their voice in an extensive way, and in a peaceful way. But where everything good, as we talked about earlier, there comes negativity and bad. And then from a national and an international standpoint, Portland became known as this place of unrest. And we got to see a lot of destruction that's happened in the city, and we've gotten to see the divide that we know exists in this country in a very visual way on television screens, on newscasts, all over the place, man. Has that impacted your creative space at all? Have you did that give you ideas for addressing or talking about those things, or did it squelch your creative juices at all?
You know, when I stepped into the Artist Repertory Theater, both theater places, even Portland Actors Conservatory, I came in fearless with, you know, I don't know if it was if it was something ignorant around that, but it just, I guess I really never let those type of things hinder me as far as, you know, thinking that way. I always had this free man way of thinking, you know, of just being fearless. I don't care. I'm not paying attention to color or whatever, but that doesn't mean that it doesn't exist, because of the stories that a lot of my friends are saying. It's a lot of hidden things that are around us that are starting to be exposed now, right? But for me, I think as Black men in America, you just have to be fearless and have tunnel vision of like setting your goals and going after them, you know, and then let God do the rest, you know. And so, but that doesn't mean that doesn't affect you, because like Two Sons in a Day, right? I'm growing my hair out for this role. Two Sons in a Day is a real thing that happened to a Black man in America, that happened in Portland, Oregon, with this man being gunned down by a police officer. So that is real, you know. But for me as an artist, I've just always just been fearless off of my surroundings. Like I always just said, you know what, who are, you know, nobody can tell me what I can and cannot do, you know, and that's just my mindset off of how I think, you know, even just being a leader in that sense, you know. I like to keep that type of mindset, because I don't want to go into like a slavery way of thinking,
right?
You know what I mean? Does that make sense?
Absolutely,
yeah.
Absolutely. When I think about film, and I think about especially, you can think of some of the actors and actresses that we celebrate now who have been making film or television for years and years and years, and you think back to when you sort of first heard about them. Sometimes those actors or actresses are associated with specific geographical places, like their early works you can think of as being you identify with certain geographical places. So I'm thinking about like Ben Affleck and oh boy, I can't think of his name right now, who they did all of that work together, and a lot of their early work was sort of centered around Boston, Massachusetts.
Sure.
Right?
Oh, Matt Damon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As you're being a creative, as you're producing works, as you're writing, is there an idea or a sense that do you think about, I really want to make stories, create stories about or that represent Portland, to let people know about Portland? Is that something you think about at all?
Absolutely. the film industry it has its phases, right? Where it would, we were in this Marvel phase for a while with all these Marvel films, right? And I think it's super awesome. The youth, they love it, and Black Panther would often did great numbers. But for me, to answer your question, Two Sons in a Day, the project, I think that is something that, I think. I don't want to say police brutality is the representation of Portland, but so we writing this film project, we want to show what Portland looks like, because Aaron Campbell, he one of his best friends was not he was, I believe Prince was Italian, or he's a white guy, and in between him and Tim, they all had that relationship. So just looking at when you live in Portland as a African American, you're gonna have white friends. You should have, like, all across the nation, you should have that. So, we want to sort of to be that voice of this, like, that relationship exists here in Portland, and just to show some of the beauty in Portland, but also there's a tragedy that happened in this project as well. So. Two Sons in a Day is a film that I definitely want, someone in New York to be able to say, okay, well, is this the voice of Portland? Like, not just with the tragic that happened, but this is what Portland looks like. You know what I mean? Like, Spike Lee does it with a lot of his films coming out of New York. Right. He sort of like makes you feel like you're in New York when you watch his projects, So, I mean, unfortunately that tragedy did happen, but we definitely want to develop this project with a sense of, like, bringing people into Portland.
Yeah, that's what's up. Talk a little bit more about your company. I mean, the idea that you have, you've done some acting. You're a writer. You're a producer. I mean, you're wearing many different hats. But that has grown into a company, which is kind of dope, B.
Yeah. Man, Global Millennium Pictures. So this company. I was sitting down with my brother, and I was like, we have to have a platform that we can create jobs from, and we're going to start off independent, and we got to be able to climb up, and it's not going to be easy, So we developed a logo. That was the first thing we did. We came up with this elephant logo, right? And we were sort of laughing about it. I was like, I don't know if this is going to work, but we came up with the right sketch. It took us some time, and then I got in contact with some people that did some editing, and we created this logo, because I felt like the logo was the way that we were going to brand our business. We had something to look at, and go from there. So our mission is to be an international voice, and so I started to collaborate with people internationally. I got a buddy, Turbo Kong, and he is in Japan, and super awesome producer. I have some friends from India. I have a buddy, Hakeem, who was here, but he went back to Africa. So the goal is to be an international voice in film. And to tell stories internationally is the long-term goal.
Right.
And so we felt like the elephant logo was symbolic to peace, and I think the elephant has a lot of respect in other countries. So it sort of made sense for us to put that together. And so Global Millennium Pictures was built off of that idea to tell stories internationally, and we just started here in Portland, and there's something about you having your own, and you see that logo pop up when your film comes on.
Yeah.
That's something that when I'm long gone, I hope that it can still, exist.
Yeah.
And I think I looked at the history of Warner Brothers and Paramount Pictures and all of these major, these major companies and how they started. I try to, sort of follow that model. Some of them started from nothing. And they ended up creating and stuff. And I think as African Americans, you have to be in that space today to be independent. And I would love to eventually do like a joint venture with a major, as I move forward with, with some of my independent projects, and we pick up enough traction, maybe we can do something like that. But love independent, being independent, it feels good, it feels good, and we need ownership. you know, especially for African American,
Yeah, yeah.
you know, in America today. So
That's what's up, B. You know, so much of what I've done with in the city has been centered around and supporting a lot of the artists in the music community, specifically the hip hop community, and so I've gotten to have a really, I think, a good understanding of what those collaborative relationships look like. You know what I mean? But I don't know a lot about film. And shout out to my guy Orlando Street, my cousin Orlando Street, who's also an actor, director, and producer. I should know more, having him in my circle, and I really, really don't. But when it comes to collaborating, what does that look like for you in Portland? You know, with Global Millennium as an independent, and then and really building and creating. Are there many opportunities to collaborate with other people? Is it easy to do? Is it challenging to do? Like, what does that look like for you here in this city as you're doing this?
you know, I've been blessed to be able to work with a lot of different people. You know, I think that we try to put out the right representation for our company. We talk about the right things, and hopefully people, they follow into it. And I think if you do that, then everything else will take its course. You know, just put out the right content, put out the right things, and don't be lazy about it. If you're an artist, man, make sure that you have stuff that, you know, people will want to watch.
Yeah.
You know, and I mean, because people in film, you know, they know from the first, when that film starts, they can tell, well, no, I ain't gonna follow it. So you want to make sure that you have the right team to put the right content in. For me, I think that's helped me be able to collaborate with a handful of people.
Yeah.
You know, and Portland has been very welcoming, and a lot of people have supported me. You know, and so I really appreciate it. You know,
that's what's up. So you are. You're working on this project. I'm pretty sure it was for Broadway Boys, and I saw that you put out like a casting call. Yo, we're looking for X number of individuals who are interested, and I would imagine that people are like, yo, I have an opportunity to be on film, this, that, and the third, and then like everything else, you get there and you realize, oh, there's some work.
Yeah, oh yeah, they gonna work you. You know, Ben. Yeah, I mean those 14-hour days. He really worked. I get, even though, I bring a lot of these people together. When I'm an actor, I sit in the actor's chair. When I get to the set, I don't try to overwrite people. I let them play their position. If you're the director, I'm following you.
Yeah.
And so I sort of open that up, you know. As long as everybody's being respectful and we are all on time, and yeah, so I mean, yeah, like how you said, if you really are serious about acting, you're gonna show up and be the actor, you know, and you're gonna know that it's real, you know. I mean, there's a lot of work that is put into the craft of acting or filmmaking, because there's a lot of things that you do over and over again when you get to the set. Of, you know, a lot of actors know that, and it can be tiring at times because you're doing the same thing over and over again till you get to the next scene, and then it's a time frame that certain things have to be shot in. You know, you're looking at the sun going down, you look at lighting, you look at so many things that take place, whatever that location is. And so there's a lot of patience, you know, but you have to put in the work. But our actors have been awesome when it comes to that. They've stuck through with us through it all, you know, and it's super awesome. You know, there's so many wonderful people that have been attached to my projects. That I thank and I love. You know, all my directors have been awesome, you know, working with, you know. So, but, you know, the idea is to really open up the doors for LA opportunities, you know, New York, and just a lot of things. We want to spread it out. You know, we're starting here in Portland, but we definitely want to be able to spread out and set up these collaborations because the industry is tough. If you know LA, you know it's selective. There's an A-list. There's a lot of things that are going on in the film industry. So, but if you're a true artist, you're not going to wait for any of that. You're going to put your work out, you know, and put the work in.
Word.
You know what I mean? And and see what the universe gives back to you. And that's sort of like what we're doing. We just work it, you know, and we try to put out the best content that we can put out.
That's what's up, B. That's what's up. And I know that when you really put in the work as you've described, you make high quality work, and that is important and that is valuable. That it does. Man, I'm always about, when it comes to art, the idea of creating art that's long lasting, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's definitely, I think, room and space for just spur of the moment doing things for entertainment value or for lightheartedness or for just building community. But I think when you decide, okay, nah, this is something that I want to do to be impactful on the planet.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is about, all right, let me get my 10,000 hours in, or let me study from those who have that experience as you did, going through acting school and learning from others and having a vision. And I don't know, be like, in this conversation, that I think one of the greatest things that I'm gaining from what you're saying is you got to believe in yourself.
Oh yeah.
Like, at the end of the day, you have to believe in yourself. There are so many things to sort of beat us down. So many things to help us to make us question ourselves. And so you have to have some of that, something within you to believe in self.
Yeah.
Which is not always easy, especially for Black men in America.
Yeah, because of our situations, it goes back into fatherhood. I have a project that is sitting in my email. A lot of people say, well, there's this book that's out, and you probably know, it's called Rich Dad, Poor Dad, right?
Yeah, I was just talking to somebody about that book recently.
Yeah. So, but I wrote a script, and I probably gonna hear it, but I wrote this script called Rich You, Poor Me. And it's about this father that lands at this train station, which is here at the Washington Park station here. He's a janitor. He just lost his job. He runs into another father that's a lawyer. And it shows how both fathers landed in the positions that stem from their fathers. See, this lawyer, his father was home. His father retired. This janitor, his father never was home. There was a lot of things that took place that symbolically landed him in the position that he ended up being in,
right.
From choices though.
Yeah.
So like a lot of, when you look at, yes, us as Black men or African Americans in America, we definitely have to understand that the most important thing is to be a parent and a father or a mother for your children if you have them, and set the example. So that's that film, that idea. I'm throwing that at somebody right now, it's supposed to be a short film project, but I think that those are needed. For me, my mind always tackles into, like, to answer some of the questions and maneuver it through art on like how we can get over obstacles as African Americans, and with our experience in America, so it's a lot, I mean, to balance out the economy and a lot of other things when you talk about what we go through in this country. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. That's so dope, B. Man, it's cool to hear that you're constantly working, that you're while you're actively working on a project like Broadway Boys, that you're also doing more writing, you're also creating, you're also continuing to develop these ideas. And so we know that there's more coming, which I think is really cool. People who are hearing this, if they're like, yo, I had no idea, this is really dope, I wanna learn how to tap in, whether it is those who are out there who are actors and actresses who want to be involved, or those who are in a position to support in one way or another, whether that be financial backing or distribution or whatever the case may be, or those who are like, yo, this is like, I just want to follow this cat and make sure that I know what he's working on, and I can be ready for whatever's dropping. Like, how should people tap in? Like, what areas should people tap in with you and Global Millennium?
So for Global Millennium Pictures, we do have an Instagram page, which is developing slowly. We just got that up with social media, and I'm, my younger family tells me, man, you got to be on social media. It's a new, because I grew up in the era where it wasn't like that. Wasn't, you have to stand in the line, But now social media is everything. They want to know how many followers you got. Your numbers got to be up on this. So, but you definitely can reach out to me. Most of the time, Jill, she handles our casting calls. So I have producers that will put out casting calls on our website, our Instagram page, and then you can connect that way.
So what's the website?
It's globalmillenniumpictures.com.
.com, okay.
Yeah, and then we have an Instagram page, and Yeah, so we most of the time we post like our casting calls and we give out those opportunities. And even like you said, for distribution or working with other people, with investors and stuff, we're open to all of that. It's pretty easy to reach out to, and contact. And most of the time I have like some of my assistants deal with stuff like that because I'm like busy running around doing other things, but definitely like we're open to it, we're open to any of those opportunities and stuff. And I love my team that I'm working with right now as we grow. I think that without them, there's no way that I'd be able to do it all. You can't do it all,
Right.
And answer your story about like the having stories sitting up, I look at it as like musicians or rappers, they write so much, they write so many songs, and then you could have something that comes out 5 years from now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Or
Absolutely.
and so I always constantly have this mindset to write, even if I'm already working. I always write and I put that idea, because you never know who can use it or, so.
That's what's up.
Yeah.
That's what's up, B. The Saving District is out.
Yes.
If people haven't seen it and they want to check it out, how can people check it out?
So there's online, there's this website called Film Freeway. It's connected to like all of our film festivals in the nation, even I think internationally. Yeah. So Film Freeway, you can go there and there's a link to watch Saving District, and then there's some stuff on YouTube. So that was like early streaming ideas that we came up with. For the Landless, which will be released in April, we're looking to collaborate with like Amazon Prime, and we're looking to do like some different like streaming service ideas, that we want to work with. And then with the Broadway Boys, I think it's going to be a follow-up with something like that with a bigger streaming service.
Gotcha.
So like going forward, we definitely are looking forward to doing like a bigger opportunity for like people to be able to stream film, But we started off with the Film Freeway and the YouTube thing just with the independent film when it took off, but it's all about elevating.
Word out,
it's all about elevating.
Word up. No doubt, man. No doubt. Well, look, Kat, I appreciate you coming through, man. This is so dope to be able to build with you, and looking forward to continuing to build. You know what I'm saying? As things continue to as opportunities present themselves to work on whatever, man. My platforms are here and available, so I definitely appreciate you, Doc.
Thank you so much, man. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely, man. Ramone Palmore. Hey, yo, remember that just tap in, man. Just tap in and make sure that you're aware on what's happening and what's coming. I got to give a couple shout outs right quick, man. Once again, big ups to the Numberz, our new sponsor for the Klyph Notes podcast. If you haven't checked us out, check us out on 96.7 FM in the Portland, Oregon area. The Numberz with a Z.FM all over the planet. Yeah, man, it's just great programming. More stuff that's coming on the Numberz that I think you folk are going to be really excited for. You can check out The Rhythm on the Numberz every weekday, Monday through Friday at 3 p.m. It's where I just play some joints, you know what I mean? You get an opportunity to hear me select some music that I think you really, really dig, man. Also, shout out to our supporters, XRAY FM. You can check out XRAY FM at 107.1 FM and 91.1 FM straight out of Portland, Oregon, or www.xray.fm. And check out the Klyph Notes check out Welcome to the Neighborhood every Saturday night from 8 to 10 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. The Klyph Notes podcast, of course, is available everywhere you listen to podcasts: Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google, Audible, or, of course, at klyphnotes.com. Big ups to Akepele Apparel for their continued support of the Klyph Notes podcast. Just released their winter line, so check them out. Akepele Apparel, that's AKEPELE.com. Cop yourself some gear, some hoodies or some tees, or just really, really dope stuff, man. And last but never ever least, big ups to the homie Theory Hazit for creating the official theme song for the Klyph Notes podcast. All right, y'all. Thank y'all so much for checking us out, man. Spread the word, like, share, comment, rate, 5-star review, the whole 9. And until we have an opportunity to do this again, y'all be blessed. Peace.
Blessed, peace. Thanks, man.